All right. When I
Well,
have to
hey,
click
members
OK.
and friends of the CFCAO, you know what? It's been a while since we named an honorary member, so we decided it was high time we did so. And Ellen Colley was one of these people that, Brienne and Tiffany, everybody's talking about. She's the ideal honorary member, and I welcome you today. Hi there.
Oh, Sharon, that just means so much. I'm fighting to keep the tears back. That is amazing. It just means so much to me. That's the last thing I ever thought I would ever be called in my entire life. And when you use words like that, it just makes me delirious practically.
Well, our
Wow.
honorary members mean a lot to us because so far you're joining quite a nice little group of people that have been chosen, selected, and we're going to talk a bit about your background and share your memories of it and
Yeah.
make it clear to everybody why you're such a great selection for this time around as our honorary member.
Oh, I'm so lucky. I really am.
So let's
Um,
take it back to the beginning.
mhm.
What got you started as a CFL cheerleader?
Well, it has to start with my husband
Oh,
because,
yeah.
yep, I auditioned I went to University of Western Ontario and I
Mhm.
didn't know anybody. And I wanted to just meet some interesting theater people because I always loved the theater, going to the theater. So I went to these auditions knowing I'd never get in. I'm supposed to be a physiotherapist. I better not screw up, and not get into physiotherapy school. But I just went to the auditions to meet some interesting theater people, and I met my husband. He was directing it, the campus musical, and he completely changed my life. My life went from boring, going nowhere, to absolutely incredible. And you know all about showbiz, probably being a cheerleader, and
Mm, yep.
how different it is from an everyday life. And then one day, cut to 10, 11 years later, I came home from work in Toronto, and he met me and held up this ad from the Toronto Sun
Uh-huh.
with an ad for the auditions for the Argo Toronto Sunshine Girls. And I said, "Oh, this must be for Karen Yering, our beautiful blonde bombshell friend with big, all the accoutrements of a beautiful woman that I didn't have." And he said, "Ellen, I wasn't thinking about Karen. I was thinking about you." Me. I just couldn't believe it because I just never imagined myself ever being a cheerleader. And I showed him the picture of all the beautiful girls in that audition
Hmm.
ad, and they were the previous year girls. And I said, "I don't look like any of these, and I'll never get in." And he said, "I think you will." And I said, "No. It'd be a waste
Oh,
of time to go down there and audition." And he said, "Well, why don't you just go and audition and have fun? No pressure, just have fun." So I went to the auditions. I went to Hotel Toronto, and it might not be Hotel Toronto anymore, which was really special. I did not hang around fancy hotels with big, huge ballrooms. And I
mhm.
went in, and there were 900 other ladies auditioning. And I just almost turned around and left. And I thought, well, I'm
Wow.
here, so I may as well just do it. And little did I know that in the audition, they were gonna, Linda was our choreographer, and you had Linda too, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, and she was teaching us Blondie's song, Blondie,
No, of
Call
course.
Me. Yeah, Call
Yep.
Me, which was one of my favorite songs at the time. So, and music really moves me. So,
Hmm.
with a song like that, that really helped get my dancing genes, which I didn't really have, but it got me going. And for some reason, I caught on. And so I went in front of the judges like we all do, and I
Hmm.
got picked to be among the 50 finalists. And I just was dumbfounded.
That's
And
great.
then, oddly enough, during the break, Linda, the choreographer, came up to me and with holding up this skimpy little black dance skin, and she said, "Ellen, you're wearing a really cute little two-piece sailor suit that I had I had made it, a little crop top thing and a little
Argos.
shorts and stuff. Yeah, and because my husband and I thought, oh, that would probably be the closest thing I have
Hmm.
to wear to the auditions. And she said, the outfit's really cute, but it really looks a lot like you might be trying to imitate the current cheerleaders' outfits. because they did have that boatman kind of look to their
Yes.
outfits then. And it might look like you're trying to sway the judges that way, and that might not work for you. And so why don't you wear this little black dance skin of mine? And I said, wow, Linda, are you sure? Thank you. And so I put it on, and I'd never worn anything like that before, and it was really amazing. And so I wore that, and when I got in front of the judges again, and City TV and the Toronto Star and the Toronto Sun and the Globe and Mail picked me to be a cheerleader, I just could not believe it. And to meet all the other girls was so amazing. It was just life-changing. So after the whole thing was over, I called my husband and said, guess what? I got in. And he said, of course you did. Because he has so much, he really believed in me, and guys never gave me the time of day, never looked at me at all prior to that. And just and then to have all those media stations also believing in me, I thought, wow. So then tonight, when you asked me to be an honorary member, and Pat did on May 6th when we all got
Mhm.
together for a wonderful get together in Toronto, and they said that we pick Ellen to be an honorary member. I just couldn't believe it. She said, "You're our cheerleader's cheerleader," and those kinds of words just don't go with Ellen to me.
Oh, you're adorable. But it's funny when I'm hearing your story, we cheered in the same era. And it's funny how, there's, I mean, a million things I'm sure that I've forgotten. If I heard people sharing stories, I'd remember. But things like the music, I
Yeah,
remember my audition song in 1983 was Billie Jean, Michael Jackson.
definitely. And we danced to that. Yeah, in one of the 4 years I was in. Yeah.
And I remember wearing the leotard, like the dance skin thing, and
Yeah.
just a different time.
It is, because from going from being a boring little physiotherapist by day, and then going to rehearsal and wearing all these skimpy little outfits in the evening, and then going on the field and doing promotions and signing
Yeah,
autographs.
I
Patients
know.
don't want autographs. You're signing charts after each visit, kind of
Funny.
thing.
Oh man. Let's
Just
take it to
nothing
that
like,
first time on the field. The first game you went to cheer at.
wow,
What do you remember about walking out on that field in front of the crowd?
50,000 fans
Yeah.
cheering. I've never had anything close to that. Just amazing.
Yeah,
Just
it takes your breath
incredible.
away.
It really does. And we had, I should be able to remember his name, the guy that called our routines and told us to run on. And
Mhm.
he, yeah, and when he was telling us to do that first routine, it was okay, girls, it's showtime. Wow. Yeah, just amazing. And we got it because Linda rehearsed us enough.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now that's something that I don't know even to this day that people understand about when you become a cheerleader. I was with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, you were with the Argos, um, and they see you on the field, but they don't understand the dedication, the amount of time it takes, and the practice time.
Yeah, it's amazing. But what fun.
So
I
fun.
mean, what else would we be doing on a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday evening that could be
Mhm.
better than dancing with the most fun girls you've ever met in your entire life? And dancing to really hot music, and wearing skimpy little dance skins. And that's okay. And everyone else is wearing that too. And
Yeah.
wow,
It's
it's
great memories to be able to, I know at this point in life to look at that and go, I did that.
yeah.
It's pretty special.
Yeah, and I still do it. I am every inch a cheerleader as much now as I was back then, since we did, I'm jumping ahead probably a little bit, but when we did the our first reunion
Oh,
at the
yeah.
Sky Dome in 2005,
What was that like?
I'd never been in the Sky Dome before. Boy,
Mhm.
I've got to keep it together. Holy
Oh,
cow. It was so emotional for all of us to
yeah,
be in that huge stadium with the stars up there, and then they could close the
yeah.
roof if it rained, which it didn't. It was just a magical night. And we did have a good 50,000 fans up there, and the seats were filled right up to the very top row. It was unreal.
Wow.
And we had not cheered together. We were now the alumni. We had not cheered together since my 1983, and some of the girls that were doing it hadn't cheered since 1978. Some of them had retired, and yeah,
But it
Diane,
never leaves you.
it never leaves
It
you.
never leaves you.
And that was incredible. So in 2008, we got it and got to go on again for a halftime show. That was a halftime show, which was amazing. 9.5 minutes on the field. Holy cow. Working that together and learning that when you live in LA and you have
Yeah.
to rehearse on video, and then go and rehearse with the girls. But 2008, we got to do it again, and it was such a privilege. And I talked to one of the other girls who got in 1980 when I got in as well for the first time,
Mhm.
and because she lives out in British Columbia, and she said, "Oh, Ellen, I want to have this experience too,"
Yeah.
and it was nothing like 2005, but she could definitely feel a whole great feeling that we had too that
Mhm.
day.
And
90.
isn't it interesting now as an alumni member, and I know when I go as well to events, and you're reconnecting with friends from your era, but you're meeting members of the team from other eras, and it doesn't matter whether, some are 85 years old and some have just stopped cheering at 27, and we're all
Right.
different ages, but we share that in common.
We do. And
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. And we're all like 25 years old, I think.
Oh, I just have way more experience at being 25 years old than some.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm really good at it now.
We're just good. We're just so lucky. Did
We
you do
really are.
did you do anything at the Sky Dome when we all did it? 2000.
No, no, no.
Oh, too
I've been
bad.
involved in the reunion things we've done with the Tiger Cats. So we,
Oh,
at
good.
Ivor Wynn Stadium before in the last year when they were closing it, we had an alumni event there. And then
Yeah.
they ended up closing it down, and then they tore it down and rebuilt it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we've been back for other alumni events since then. And it's
Yeah.
so special.
Yeah.
Really,
So
really is.
were you ever a Toronto Argonaut cheerleader then? Oh, okay. That's all right.
Mm-mm. I was
Yeah.
just down the road.
You were. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
down the road. And you know what? I don't know about you. I mean, now you're in California now. Do you still follow the CFL
Um,
as much as you can?
as much as we can. It's really tricky,
Yeah.
and we don't have cable. And so if we can get it on YouTube or something, or one of the other girls that lives around here says, "I've got it, I'll keep you up to date on the score and everything like that." And she'll show us snippets like on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Messenger. We can watch it with her on Messenger, and it's really exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
That's
but
amazing.
but when
Now,
go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say, thinking back, all the games you went to, all the events you went to, is there anything that stands out for you as something that was just super duper special that,
Yeah.
when you think back, that's where your mind goes?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
My very first rehearsal. It
Oh,
was
okay.
terrifying. I got the audition, I got the piece down that Linda choreographed us on at the audition, but when I went to the first rehearsal, my feet just had no idea where to go, and I just couldn't retain those steps. And I
Mhm.
felt like such a dope. And our squad leader, Diane, this was her third year. She joined in 78 and did 79, and then she was back in 1980. And so she was our squad leader. And after the rehearsal, I said to Diane, they've made a terrible mistake. I should not be on this squad. They should replace me with someone who can learn the dance steps. And she said, Ellen, I'm going to stay as long as we need to get you down, get those steps down. And she did. And I got it. And once I got it, I was okay from that moment on. And so and we've become just the closest friends ever since. And it's just an unbelievable strong bond since then.
I think that's something else that people are not aware of, because there's the thought, and I know because when I auditioned, I didn't have a whole lot of dance experience, but
Mhm.
people think that all of the people you see on the field are people who have started dancing at the age of 3 and they've got dance
Yeah,
experience. And that's not always the case, because when the judges are looking for people to be on that field, they're looking for a certain something, and it's not always about your dance resume, right?
you're not kidding. Otherwise, I would never have gotten it. I mean, I did get the steps, and I did find out afterwards, and might have been that day, but I'm not sure, that Linda needed a couple of girls with short hair. So she picked me because I had short red hair at that
Oh,
time,
wow.
auburn. I know I was an auburn hair color, and Wynette, who's African American, African Canadian, and she had short hair. So that was a big part of why we got picked, we were told. And
Mhm.
of course, she can dance her rear end off, and I learned to dance that day thanks to Linda, and being in the show at the university when I auditioned for my husband. I did get into that show, and I had to do a tap routine then.
Oh,
So
wow.
maybe it was, yeah, mom had taught tap when she was a young lady. So I must have had some dance genes in me anyway.
I think
Yeah.
so. I think
And yeah, I think that was the main thing, having short hair. And she had tons of blondes, tons of brunettes. Sorry, everybody, but she had tons of blondes and tons of brunettes. But I was an auburn hair color, and she wanted that in. So that helped. So thank
Yep,
you, God.
so funny. Um,
Yeah.
Again, there's certain things that when people think of cheerleaders, whether it's CFL, whether it's NFL, whether it's high school,
Yeah.
they always, it's a cliche line, but you become friends for life. But
Yep.
it's a true cliche. And how has it been for you in the years since? And you're like me, it's been many years. Have you retained many of your friends?
You have no idea. And during COVID, it just cemented us even
Mhm.
more. A lot of the girls lost husbands,
Oh,
boyfriends, cousins, fathers, mothers,
mhm.
and to COVID or just age anyway, and they passed away. And wow, it was just such a support system for all of us and you just can't imagine having that sisterhood
Yes.
behind you and around you, virtually. All our arms were virtually wrapped all around each other and the person in need the whole time, and especially during their hour of need. And it really helped.
Yep.
Wow, girl passed away. One of the cheerleaders passed away from breast cancer,
Oh,
and
wow.
her twin sister found out that she got it. And during COVID, she got a mastectomy, and it was
Wow.
terrifying for her and all that kind of stuff. So, and she's fine, thank goodness. But yeah, it's so powerful. And they always say, Ellen, when you come to town, and you say, let's have a night out, everyone comes. It's really nice.
Oh, that's super. Next time you come to
Yeah,
town, I know I'm not an Argo cheerleader. I want to join you guys next time.
please do.
I'd love that.
Because part of the reason you and I are in this whole CFL CAO is to see if we can
Ooh,
get all the, I dog,
hang
the
on, my
dog,
dog's barking.
I
Ooh,
can see his tail wagging. Oh,
I gotta
sweet.
kick her out.
Not necessarily unless she's causing you
You know,
trouble.
I can edit that part. That's sorry about
Don't
her.
edit it. It's perfect. I saw that tail wagging at the beginning and thought, it's a cat. But no, that was
The
not a cat
scratch on
that
the door, but that's her
barked.
problem. She knows she can't bark when I'm doing Zoom.
Oh, well, she did.
So I bet
Yeah.
I'll just do an edit in there. Where did
No, I wouldn't. I'd leave it in there. It's priceless.
oh,
Yeah, so that would be really cool to have
I
you.
love that.
And holy cow, what if we had lots of your cheerleaders as well? And maybe we could start gathering them from Montreal and Ottawa and Vancouver and everywhere else. Wouldn't that be just the best?
It's always a great, there's never a wrong time to do it. So whenever the
No,
opportunity presents itself, I think we should. Because boy, oh
yeah,
boy, like you
we're
mentioned, as we
there.
got through COVID and stuff, life goes too fast.
Yeah.
You got to take advantage of these opportunities when they're there.
You're not kidding. And if that isn't one of our number one goals in the CFL CAO, I don't know what is. And
Exactly.
does anyone talk about anything else being more high priority than that?
It like you said the word, it's a sisterhood. It's exactly what it
It
is.
is.
Such
Yeah.
a privilege to have it and to be,
Yeah.
part of this very special group, because Not everybody was a CFL cheerleader.
No, you're
We're
not
very
kidding.
lucky.
Yeah, in fact, I should tell you about one moment.
Okay.
When I was a physiotherapist at the Toronto East General before we moved down here, I was on the orthopedic ward and I was the only physiotherapist on that ward, and there was a different physiotherapist covering other wards. And I had a patient and he had my Toronto Argonaut Sunshine Girl picture on his wall, and
Wow.
he was in his hospital bed. And then the surgeon came, his surgeon came around, the orthopedic surgeon, on rounds, and I had to be there on rounds, and the nurses on the ward too would come on the rounds. And he points to my picture on the wall and tells the doctor and the nurses, "This is my physiotherapist, and she's also an Argo cheerleader." It was the strangest moment because I don't think they were all that impressed, and I felt a little
Oh,
bit sheepish, but it was funny.
that's funny. Oh my goodness. So, you have these, we all have these stories, we have great stories and great memories. If you were to meet a young person tomorrow that was saying, you know
Oh,
what, it'd be so cool to be on the sidelines and cheer at those games. What would you tell that young person about taking that step and auditioning?
oh, when you said sidelines, I thought we are not on sidelines. I thought you meant being in the stands, but
Oh,
no,
no,
you
no, I
mean
mean
being a
being on the
cheerleader.
field.
Yeah, on the field, yeah.
What would you tell that young person who's thinking, I wonder if I could do that?
Well, every year, that there's an ad, the one of the girls, mostly the current girls, post on Facebook, come and audition, and here are the dates, and here's the time, come and try out. And I always have chimed in every year since they started doing that. Definitely go try out. It'll change your life for the best in so many ways. I
Mhm.
can't think of a better way to make your life absolutely magical and to make the most wonderful friends you possibly can't imagine. Yeah,
And
don't
I
miss
don't want to wrap up the interview without getting into a little bit of, you're in California. What took you to California?
the weather.
Whether
Yeah. One day, I rode my bike in the snow back and forth from our house to the hospital and back. All weather, it didn't bother me at all. And we would go skiing and everything in the winter and not skate that much, that's true. But my husband is a playwright and
oh
he would
wow.
be, yeah, and he would just do his writing at home. And one day he said he was looking out the living room window and he could see the snow driving horizontally across the window and thought, this is too much. I'm a writer. I could be living in the Philippines and I'm mailing my scripts in anyway. Why do I need to spend all our cold winters in Toronto? And I don't want to put down any of our hardy Canadians that are putting up with Canadian weather in the winter. But we decided, and he said, yeah, Ellen, you can work as a physiotherapist pretty much anywhere in the world too. So we decided to make a trip to California to see what it was like in February and March. We'd never been there before. We'd heard all about it. And we went down in February and March and camped. And I mean, it was warm enough to camp. And we just thought, wow, I think we could feel at home here. Even driving around in the rain, it felt just fine. And so a few years later, we loaded up the truck again and we moved to Beverly, but not Beverly Hills, Woodland Hills. And yeah, but our hearts are absolutely 100% in Canada. When
Mhm.
we go back to Canada, this incredible, even as the plane is coming down and you see the CN Tower and everything, this incredible feeling comes over you like, I'm home, I'm safe, it's clean, people are really nice to each other. It does feel like the best country in the world, and
Mhm.
it's so precious. And so many of our friends in Canada, I don't think realize how good it is. And it's just amazing,
It is a great
wonderful
place.
country.
It is a great
Yeah,
place. Well, and I'm so glad
yeah.
to make the journey back, and I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to meet you in person when you come in one of these
Oh,
days.
oh,
It,
do you
definitely.
mind if I check my notes and see if there's anything I left out that I really, oh, Yes, when we went to that first Grey Cup and it was
Oh,
in
yeah.
Vancouver and it was in BC Place which is like the Sky Dome, only it
Indoor
wasn't
stadium.
open, it
Yeah.
was closed. Maybe you've been there? I
I've
don't know.
not been. No.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Argos hadn't won the Grey Cup in 31 years, and the ones that came out to watch that game were insane fans, just as devoted as you can
Oh, yeah.
possibly get. And they were all screaming their heads off. And I was a squad leader by that point. It was my last year in 1983. And I had to count 5, 6, 7, 8 to get all the girls coordinated together to the song. And, and I had to yell my head off and above the amazing chaos of going on in that stadium, and it was just unbelievable. And somehow we managed to pull it off, and they could hear me, and we
I
kept
love it.
ourselves together.
Oh.
Wow.
Well, I
And
gotta tell you, you are the actual personification of a cheerleader. You have the spirit, you still do. And I think everyone who sees this interview and reads it will also understand why you are our current honorary member of the CFCAO. We're
are
so
you
happy that,
serious?
yeah,
I
we are so
still can't
happy to
believe it.
have
I'm gonna
you.
pinch myself.
We are so
Wow.
happy to have you. So welcome in the capacity of honorary member. Welcome to our sisterhood. And we look
You.
forward to many years of getting to know you better and reconnecting with friends.
I can't wait. And all the CFL CAO members would be really great to be welcome to the next get together if
Oh, great.
it works out. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
I think so. We'll
And we'll
hold
just expand and expand and see what happens, right?
absolutely.